gosh. All right. So moving on to our final story from the subreddit Glitch in the Matrix. So this subreddit is filled with eyewitness events that cannot be explained with critical thinking. That's what the little description is of the subreddit. Okay. So the title is I died last night, ... but I'm still here.
Okay.
Okay, so the poster writes, so this actually happened last week, ... but it just took some time for me to come to terms with it. I got a phone call from my next door neighbor late in the evening asking if I can help him move a mattress into his upstairs. His mom is ill and he has a big, heavy sleep number bed. What?
Sleep number. That must be the brand.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. Anyway, big bed. I, of course, ran over to help because they're great neighbors. I get over there and his friend, who is also a priest, was there to help. I helped them figure out how to separate the mattress from the bed so we could fit it upstairs. We get it all moved and back in place when my neighbor asks if I can help them move an armoire. Armoire. This word scares me every time I go to say it. I'm just like, armoire.
Armoire. I'm not going to say it because I'm going to make you pronounce it wrong.
I'm going to say armoire, but they ask me if I can help move the armoire upstairs too. I think nothing of it, and we pull it out of his travel trailer and start bringing it up the front stairs of his house. This is where I died. The front stairs are 11 steps. I was on the lower end of the armoire, about 6 steps up when my neighbor and his friend lose a handle on the armoire and it comes crashing down on me and I fell backwards towards the pavement.
Okay. Okay, so it's 11 steps up to their front door.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he said he was about 6 steps up when he fell. And it fell on top of him.
Okay.
He says, I then wake up in my dining room to my phone ringing and my wife asking me if I'm going to answer the phone. It's my neighbor asking me if I can help move a bed upstairs for his mom. I go over there and meet his priest friend again, as if this had been the first time I met him. I say I can help with the bed, but I cannot help with the armoire. My neighbor was like, how do you know about the armoire? I then proceeded to tell them, I'm pretty sure I just died. I spent the next hour talking with the priest. He had so many questions. My neighbor didn't believe it until I described the upstairs bedroom in perfect detail, down to the metal mattress frame on the floor and the intricate headboard leaning against the wall, as I had never been upstairs in their house before. So really, there would have been no way for him to know those details. The priest asked me what I saw after I died. I told him I didn't actually die. Before it happened, I just woke up at my dining room table. So his quick rundown says, I experienced, it's like, what does that even stand for? TLDR.
TLDR, I've heard that before.
I know, it like means something like the short version, but I can't remember what TLDR stands for. What does it stand
Google
for?
break.
TLDR meaning. Oh, too long, didn't read.
Okay.
So if that post was too long and someone didn't read it, his summary is, I experienced my death but woke up alive about 20 minutes earlier in my life. So, what are your thoughts on this one?
My immediate reaction when he told them he couldn't lift the armoire is, I would have said, oh, and make sure the handle doesn't slip or something like that. Or I would have told them to hold it differently because it would break.
Mm-hmm. Well, he does say that he sat down and talked with him for an hour about it. So I'm guessing he probably described in detail what happened and how he died.
I guess, yeah.
I'd just be throwing that out. I would not be trying to move the Amara upstairs after that at all.
That is, yeah. I don't even know how you would. I think when he described the room in detail as the neighbor, I would think that it would be more plausible he snuck into your house or something.
But why?
Don't know why, but seems a little more plausible than I died and came back alive 20 minutes earlier.
But how would he even know about the armoire though? Because it was in the enclosed trailer and they hadn't asked him about it yet. So he shouldn't have even known they had one to move.
Right.
And he says like that they're great neighbors. So it sounds like they have a good relationship with them.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. That's just super weird.
So if one of our neighbors or like one of your friends told you they think they died and gave you a somewhat good explanation for it, what do you think your reaction would be to them?
WTF. No, I'd be like, okay, that's super weird. And I think my first reaction would be like confusion or like shock.
Mm-hmm. You're a pretty skeptical guy, so I don't know. I feel like you could die and come back and you'd be suspicious of yourself.
Yes. Because maybe I dreamt about it and it was just something similar, but my mind like tricked myself into like associating it, like generalizing it to something else. That's what I would think.
Well, most of the people replying back here are also just sharing stories of their own experiences of dying and coming back. This one person comments and says, "My man just loaded a save file in front of God." "Hey bro, I'm not done yet. Let me try it another way. Next time I'm moving a couch, I need to remember to quick save." This person says, "Right?" And God was like, "Yeah, I'll allow it. That death was pretty lame." Someone says, "When you know you're not finishing the quest and you insta pause and load."
Yeah, don't waste your time.
I guess so.
Have you had any deja vu ever happen to you?
Not really. No. Like, I would say just small instances of things where I'm like, oh, I feel like I remember doing this, but honestly, I probably actually have done it because it's like mundane things. I don't think there's ever been any big moments that I have felt that in. How about you?
I don't know. Okay, so this is slightly related, but I had a dream that I woke up, but then it was kind of like this Inception dream. So I was like 8 dreams in, and then, so it was me falling off the bed when I woke up. So then when I woke up, I would realize it woke me up out of another dream. So then it was me falling again and again and again. And then I woke up on the ground.
Oh, so you did fall.
I did fall, but in my dream, it was like it happened like 8 times. So I woke up like freaking out, like I was jumping around kind of thing.
Yeah, well, you do weird things in your sleep. So shout out to an upcoming episode, I think. Not sure when we'll get to this one, but we're definitely doing a sleep-focused episode because Julian does some interesting things while he's sleeping.
I do sleep talking, sleepwalking, you name it.
Yeah, sleep, phone scrolling, sleep grabbing things, moving things, just random things. We've started actually recording.
Yeah, that's what we're
Every night
waiting.
when we're
I
sleeping.
have the episode written already. We're just waiting for some more evidence to come about.
Yeah, we've had some pretty funny things that we've caught on the audio recorder while we're sleeping, but I think most of them are probably just funny to us. So we're waiting for something more interesting to happen, and then we'll record that episode and include some of those clips of Julian and his crazy nighttime antics.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's actually interesting. Like, we wake up in the morning and it's like the first thing we think, it's like, what happened last night?
Yeah, Julian always grabs his phone and we listen to our recordings. A lot of them are just his snoring.
Yeah, I didn't know I snored.
Yeah, he does. So there's one person that has a actually pretty interesting comment here. They wrote, a precognitive dream. But this question of precognition and whether or not you can avoid a fatal or other accident is very interesting. Sometimes, as in your case, you were able to avoid the accident. By the way, your composure when you got the call a second time and the way you explained it to your neighbor and his friend is very impressive. On other occasions, it seems to be unavoidable. My mother dreamed about the death of her little sister and didn't want to go out with her mother and sister as they had planned. But my grandmother ignored her, even when she spilled a whole box of salt and insisted they go. A tree fell on them and killed her sister. I recall the mystic Wellesley Tudor Pole had a similar experience back in 1930s Italy when he suddenly knew that a certain carter was going to die in a collision. As he set off to warn the man, he got the message, "It is not for you to interfere with this man's destiny." He held his tongue, and the man went off, and shortly after was hit by a car and died.
That reminds me of another like destiny story. So in Clondalkin, my hometown, there's a priest and the deacon at the Catholic Church. So the deacon was married, and I think it was like 2 years before, he was a farmer, and he was working on a piece of equipment, and it was the tiller. So basically it's got a bunch of discs, like heavy discs, and they kind of fold up, and he was working underneath it, and the hydraulics gave out, and the thing came crashing down it, and it like split his skull open. So he was out in the yard, and then his wife was in the house like washing dishes, and she looked out the window and then she was looking, and she thought she seen a deer. So she went out into kind of like out the door, their front door kind of thing. So at a different angle, and she sees her husband laying under this piece of equipment. So it was because she seen this deer that she went and looked, and there was no deer.
Wow. So that was clearly...
Yeah. So that's why he became a deacon.
And so obviously, yeah, if she hadn't even gotten there as quickly as she did, could have been a completely different outcome in that.
Well, he probably would have been dead because his actual head, like skull, got cracked open. Like, it was a severe thing. He shouldn't have survived it. So, miracles.
Yeah, well, that just tells you need to make sure you're always paying close attention to what's going on around you and go with your intuition. Totally different story, but my one brother, I think it was James, when he was young, my parents on the farm and my grandparents were there too, and they were putting up fence, and my brother James was out there just kind of watching them and stuff, and he had one of his little toy guns with him. And he came running into he told my grandpa first out there that he had seen a bear. I think he told my grandpa. I was obviously like a baby when this happened, so I just remember being told this story. But he told him like, that he saw a bear out there. And my grandpa was like, oh, did you? Like, did you get him? And my brother James said, oh, yeah, I shot at him, with his little fake gun. And so then I guess later James went back inside to my mom and like told my mom and everyone that he saw this bear, but everyone thought he was just making up that he had seen this bear out there. But then later that night when they went back out like after supper or something to put more fence up, my grandpa saw bear tracks out there. And so he actually did see a bear and shot at him with his fake gun.
The thought going through all their heads is like, uh-oh.
Right?
That could have been so bad.
Yeah, because they just like told him to go back out and keep playing like until supper or whatever. Like, yeah, you go get that bear. So I think that's just an interesting thought about how sometimes we overlook things that children might say just because we're like, they're kids, they're creating all of these, their imaginations are so active. But sometimes it's real.
Well, that's what I was saying with that glitch in the matrix there. This guy, I would have thought, my first thought would have been, he's like, something's going crazy in his head.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, I think that